What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today we are celebrating the worst GMs and head coaches in Philly sports history. We are holding a draft. We're each going to pick four of the worst and give a reason why they are the worst of the worst. Joining me, Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. What's up, Ryan?
Not much. Ready to talk about some horrible, horrible people that ruined many, many lives.
Yep. Yeah. We lost a lot of years on these bodies from these guys. Also joining us, special guest, Phil Stifle, at Beard Knowledge, host of the best morning show in Philly sports, What's up, Phil? What's going on, man?
Dude, I mean, worst coaches and GMs. This is literally the most losing city in the history of sports. I know that we only need 12 between the three of us. I got 27 names written down that I could potentially choose from. And I just said, you know what? I figured there'd be 4. And you said only 3. I'm like, I guess I could stop at 27 right there.
Yep. We're going to jump right in. Marshawn, what's going on? Marshawn says, where's Rob? I know.
I'm not good enough for Marshawn, you know?
No, probably not.
I'm actually bummed Rob is not here because this is like his show. This is like, pessimist Rob written all over it. But anyway, let's jump right into this thing. Let's see who gets the first, second, and third overall selection, as we always do. And with the first overall selection, I am going to go first here. All right. With the second overall selection, that will go to Ryan, which means, Phil, you'll get back-to-back picks, as always.
No, right in the middle. Not what I wanted to be.
You didn't want that?
I love 3. We do something similar to this on my golf podcast. And let me tell you something. Every time we compete for like points and all, every time I get the third pick, I get back-to-back, I win every single time. So, yeah,
all right. Let's jump right into this thing. I've got the first overall pick, and I am very biased. But I'm going to speak to my heart. And with the first overall selection in the worst GM head coach draft, Team Dive selects Brian Colangelo and his collars for Team Dives. I hate this man with the fire of 1,000 burning suns. Brian Colangelo, the Markelle Fultz trade, the drama with Jahlil Okafor, not moving him, mishandling that situation, the burner account scandal, all the assets the Eagles had, all of the idiots that came and wanted Sam Hinkie out and put Colangelo there, who really wasn't given an interview. He just kind of was put onto the Philadelphia 76ers, had no idea what he was doing. Brian Colangelo was a bum and absolutely threw away all the assets the Sixers had built up. And it's a shame we never got to see the roster development from Sam Hinkie. We did get to see that for Brian Colangelo, and it was just an F on all accounts. I got to go Colangelo. So
it was number 2 on my list of GM.
Was he? Good.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely.
Ryan, where are you going?
Now, just so I make sure that I'm aware of all of the rules here, this is coaches, GMs, and owners?
I only went coaches and GMs, but I don't.
I thought somewhere we said owners, but I could be wrong.
Doesn't matter to me. Do you, man?
Knock yourself out.
Yeah, are we going to allow me to do it? So
absolutely.
All right, then I got to go with the worst owner in Philadelphia Eagles history, and that's Norman Bremen. He was a greedy bastard who basically allowed Reggie White to walk out the door. I think Buddy Ryan referred to him as the guy in France. It's just, some random guy who just owns the club. It didn't really, put input. But, unfortunately, he was cheap. and he unfortunately kind of was a bit of a moron and let some of great options leave the Eagles, and most notably Reggie White going to Green Bay. No.
Norman Brayman for Ryan. Back-to-back picks for Phil.
I didn't know. I wasn't prepared for owners. So, but that frees me up to go with my worst. This list is going to have a lot of Sixers names on it, I have a feeling. But I got to go with the current Sixers with my first pick, Daryl Morey. The mess that Daryl Morey is probably the worst executive in the history of Philadelphia sports.
Wow.
Literally, the reason why the Sixers are in the mess they are, with a horrendous Joel Embiid contract, a horrendous Paul George contract.
There's so many.
The James Harden debacle, bringing him in and getting rid of him, all of it. Keeping Doc Rivers too long. Daryl Morey is probably the worst executive coach. He should have, no offense, and I hate Brian Colangelo, just like you, Dives. Daryl Morey might be the worst of all time. And we've got a lot of bad in this city. He literally is the reason. He can't accept how bad this team is. He's still trying to sell us that we're contenders next year. It's pure awful. Daryl Morey is the worst. I saw Marshawn's Billy King. I thought of putting Billy King in that spot, but we'll see if somebody else wants to bitch and moan about Billy King later. If not, I'll bring him up. I'm gonna give you another GM here, okay? And I've been debating on this second GM. All right, it's a great color. It's better than Kelly Green hate, just so you know.
Oh.
I'm gonna go. I'm debating between two Phillies GMs here with my second pick, and I'm gonna surprise. I'm gonna go Lee Thomas. Okay, Phillies GM from '88 to I believe it was '97 or '98 when Ed Wade took over. He literally led this team for 10 years. I know '93 was a special year for a lot of Phillies fans, but let me tell you something. Lee Thomas, he literally did nothing ever to even try to make the Phillies team a good team. Okay, Lee Thomas has got to be number 2 on my list.
All right, some interesting names here. We'll get to reviews and grades at the end of the show. I somewhat disagree, Phil, on Morey's take. But anyway, we'll get to that. All right.
I disagree that you put Dak Prescott 8th on your quarterback ranking list. So you know what? I think we're even now.
Oh, wow. Somebody was paying attention.
Yeah, I deserve that.
Yeah.
You absolutely deserve that one.
Yeah.
Ryan, who's your guy?
I'm debating between a couple of guys here, but
don't do it, Ryan.
I'm probably going to take the other guy.
Don't do
that
it.
Phil was thinking about Phillies GM wise, and that's Ruben Amaro Jr.
That's not who I was thinking of, but yeah, he's on my list too.
Yeah, Raj was. Well, let's just say he makes a much better commentator than he ever did as a GM. No, it's really not. But I think recent, Phillies fans certainly can, think back to just I've never known a GM to be just instantly hated, and I feel like no matter what he did as a GM, every move was criticized, and just unfortunately, oh God, I mean, he was the GM from 90 what? No,
he took over in 09.
09,
went to 15. Can I ask you a question about that? Because I was debating on him. Do you think he was put in an unwinnable situation? It was the first time the Phillies were really consistently great ever, really? And he had all these guys that he tried to keep in. I think he was outmatched for the job. Like Howie knows how to get rid of guys before they're past their prime. Do you think he was in an unwinnable situation there, Rube?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it wasn't. It certainly wasn't a great situation to be in. But he just we were known for just never bringing prospects up. We were always late on getting rid of players, and firing Charlie Manuel. they had teams that should have won multiple World Series, and unfortunately, only really only won the one. Obviously, a few things here and there, obviously, kind of led to that. And he was aggressive when needed to be early in his career, but the latter half of his career was just honestly atrocious. And I think most fans will agree they absolutely hate Ruben Amaro.
Holding on to aging stars, man,
Yeah.
rarely works. All right, let's roll on to my second pick, and I cannot believe he's still sitting there. It is Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly is a slam dunk. He traded
Coach or GM?
It counts as both. There's no either. It's and he traded McCoy for Kiko Alonso. Deshaun Jackson released. He traded Nick Foles for Sammy Sleeves. It was just a hot mess with Chip Kelly. The smugness, the sports science, and I was one that drank the Kool-Aid with that too. I will admit it. So Chip Kelly's my number 2, and I'm gonna I wanted balance, but pound for pound, I gotta go with the worst of the worst, and that is Billy King. Billy King was horrendous. Drafting Larry Hughes over Paul Pierce and Dirk, trading for Glenn Robinson, overpaying Kenny Thomas and Brian Skinner and Greg Buckner to big contracts. Guy had no idea what he was doing. Give me Billy King. Guy I actually met and had to shake his hand. Good dude, but
nice. I mean, I tried to get a fist pound at him outside the Bellevue in Philly at a wedding. I'm like, "Yo, Billy King, what's up?" And he's like, he just turned around and walked away. Like, yo, like I wasn't even drunk or anything like that. I'm like, yo, what's up, man?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Turned around and walked the other way. We're in the valet line together. God,
that's hilarious. My son says 2 separate picks. No, not happening. Raj was Ruben Amaro Jr. was not the GM of the World Series team. That's what
he got hired right after.
He was an assistant on the World Series.
Yeah, he was an assistant. Exactly.
All right, Ryan, what's your third pick?
That was a good pick, picking Chip Kelly, certainly on the list here. But I got to go with, this is tough because, I'm looking at a Flyers GM here.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna go with my gut here, and I'm gonna go with Chuck Fletcher. Was just an absolute awful GM in my opinion. I thought he wasted so much talent. I thought that those Flyers teams, had potential to, be some of the great Flyers teams in history, and unfortunately just move after move, or we should say lack of move after lack of move sometimes, just absolutely could never get the job done, and constantly sputtered, constantly I don't know, just complete failure. And Danny Briere took over for Chuck Fletcher, and unfortunately, seems like par for the course. But hopefully they get rid of the Flyers retreads and do something good here. But I don't know. Maybe this is more personal. Chuck Fletcher.
All right, Chuck Fletcher for Ryan. Back-to-back picks, Phil.
Yeah, so I wanted to put Chuck Fletcher on my list, but I'm like, the Flyers just are meaningless anyway, so who cares?
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to put a Sixers coach on here.
Yeah,
Sixers. I wanted to. I was thinking John Lucas. I was thinking Doug Moe. I was thinking Fred Carter.
Doug Moe.
I went through the list. I wrote down all their records because there were some bad Sixers coaches back in the day. But I got to go Doc Rivers instead Doc Rivers literally took the most talented team the Sixers ever had and wasted them. Joel Embiid wasn't healthy all the time, but he was nowhere near the broken down man he is now. He wasted them, okay? He wasted everybody. He couldn't figure out how to unlock Ben Simmons. I mean, not that anybody can. Like, he literally wasted. He set the standard. Tomorrow's trending in the AM. We're going to be talking about how culture breeds excellence. Doc Rivers' culture with scheduled losses is literally the reason why that Daryl Morey failed, because he set Daryl Morey up for failure there with that. Doc Rivers, worst coach in Sixers history, period. And that's saying something because there's been a lot. And I'm really going to piss some people off with my next pick here because it relates back to my ever so dying love of the Kelly Green era. It's the GM of the Eagles from 1985 to 1995, Harry Gamble. You have Reggie White. It goes along with Norman Brayman. You got Reggie White, you got Randall Cunningham, and you can't build a team. You can't get Randall Cunningham one damn wide receiver. You can't get him an offensive line. You can't get him a running back. You got Reggie White and Eric Allen in your organization, Seth Joyner and Andre Waters, and you can't finish that? You could have fired Buddy Ryan a little sooner. Maybe that would have changed the tides. But let me tell you something. Yeah. Harry Gamble, worst GM in Eagles history right there.
All right. There it is.
I thought about saying Buddy Ryan, by the way.
I am so
I did think about that.
Yeah, I know you did, because you love pissing people off.
So. I am so salty about the Doc Rivers pick, man.
Why? I thought you were gonna say because you thought he was good or something like that.
Oh, I hate Doc. Oh man, that's a great selection.
I love
most overrated coach there is in basketball by far.
You guys have 4 Sixers. I don't even know if I have I have 1 Sixer.
Oh, I have
on my list.
I have a ton of Sixers, and I'm probably gonna go Sixers on my 4th pick.
I mean, I got a ton of Sixers and Philly names on here.
We'll go through the whole list at the end.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan.
All right, so I am going to go back to the Birds and one of the worst coaches they've ever had, even though theoretically, he was a commissioner of the league and was great for the game of football. But Bert Bell, as a coach, was god awful. His record of 10-44 and 2, I believe, is one of the worst in football in Eagles history. And it's just such a stark contrast between the coach versus the executive, if you will, the commissioner, and what he did for the game of football and his place in the NFL. But as a coach, freaking awful.
All right, Bert Bell. I'm between a Sixers pick and an Eagles pick. I'm not going to go Phillies or Flyers. I'm going to speak to my heart. Yeah, I'm going to go Matt Patricia.
Matt. Nice.
I wasn't even thinking of assistant coaches, honestly.
Yeah, I have a couple.
Matt Patricia was garbage. He was brought in, this whole Sean Desai thing. But even Desai's defense was somewhat decent in moments. But Matt Patricia came in and everything just fell apart. It was an absolute travesty. The defense, I mean, they gave up so many, like 30 points on average in the last 4 games under Patricia. They got blown out by Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay scored 32 points in the wild card playoff loss. They allowed the 3rd most points per game during the regular season, ranked 30th in the red zone, ranked 30th in 3rd down defense, allowed 35 passing touchdowns, the 2nd most in the league. Matt Patricia, man, that guy was he had no business being there for the defense. And that's going to be my last pick. But let's jump into this thing. We'll go team by team, Phil.
That's all we got is 4 rounds? And I had no
idea.
Do
you want to go 5?
Let's go 5.
All right, let's go 5.
All right.
Let's go 5.
That's how we do this here.
Let's go 15 rounds, damn it.
I don't know if I can do
27 names here.
All right, let's go 5 rounds, which means I'm back on the clock. And I'm going to go back to the hardwood. And a guy that had no business being the coach. If you guys remember back in 2009, 2010, the Sixers brought a coach in that was supposed to put in the Princeton offense. And surrounded by guys like Andre Iguodala and Drew Holiday, and they were god awful. They were never competitive. They went 27-55. I'm talking about Eddie Jordan, who never looked like a professional NBA coach. Just looked completely outmatched, and it still makes me laugh. Eddie Jordan for me. Ryan, where are you going?
I like that.
Yeah, Eddie Jordan was one of, actually, I apologize, one of 2 Sixers on my list. So yeah, he was definitely up there. Yeah, I'm debating between who I personally think is talking about. Okay. Wow, gotta love it. Just to get excited, just to get disappointed again. Yeah, I'm debating between an awful Eagles coach, an awful Eagles assistant coach, or another owner. This is tough. I feel like I have one of everybody, right? One of every sport except for Sixers. So maybe I should go for Sixers. Nah, the Sixers suck. I'm gonna go with Rich Kotite.
Nice.
This guy was a clueless buffoon. One of my earliest memories as an Eagles fan was yelling at the TV at Rich Kotite. Like I remember it clear as day. This guy was. I'm gonna get angry if I keep talking about him because there's a lot of repressed memory here in Rich Kotite hate. This guy honestly couldn't coach his way out of a paper bag. I don't know how the hell he got multiple head coaching jobs in the NFL and how he lasted as long as he did with the Eagles, which wasn't that long, but still way too long. So, yeah, Rich Kotite.
All right, Phil.
All right. I'm debating here how to go on this final one here because I was going to say Rich Kotite. So, yeah, that was like my mid. Like it wasn't my first football memories. That was like my mid, like teenage. I was like a sophomore, junior in high school when Rich Kotite was coaching. I'm debating here, so because I want to put another Phillies on this list here. All right, and I didn't know, Pump Man, that assistant coaches and owners and things like that were involved. I was just going head coaches and GMs. I'm debating between a coach, GM, and president, all that worked for the Phillies at the same exact time, a.k.a. Gabe Kapler, Matt Klentak, and Andy McPhail. And I just don't know which one. Can I just group them all together? The McPhail era? Like, I can't do eras, can I? I'm going to go Klentak.
I'll go Klentak. That was a party when he was gone. That was
it was a pretty bad error. The only reason with Kepler that I'm thinking about Gabe is because he ruined Scotty jetpacks.
Yeah.
He is the one that ruined the great hope of the Phillies organization. I actually have Rob Thompson's name on my list, Pump Man, just so you know. If we were going 6 rounds, it would be Rob Thompson.
Oh, get out of here. Come on.
I hate Rob Thompson. I hate Rob Thompson.
Talking, over 100 years of coaches, owners, GMs, and you think Rob Thompson is even remotely close to that list?
Just like Brian Pumper hates Jalen Hurts, I hate Rob Thompson.
Listen, I get it. I get not liking the man, but come on.
There's been some Doc Rivers-esque collapses, man.
Y'all are.
My list is perfect, Marshawn, just so you know.
Not
one person on this list ever won jack shit in Philadelphia.
Yeah. All right. Let's go through it team by team. I'll lead us off. Brian Colangelo, Chip Kelly, Billy King, Matt Patricia, Eddie Jordan. I feel like I've got a solid list of just pure ineptness. Patricia had no idea what he was doing. Jordan had no idea what he was doing. Billy King, Colangelo, just so much wasted talent. And then you got Chip Kelly, the smugness. People hate that guy. I feel like I'm going to do okay in the polls. Phil, how would you grade my squad?
See, the thing is with your squad, I don't think Chip Kelly, the coach, was as bad as people think. I mean, he was 10-6 each of his first 2 years. You know, he made Nick Foles, what was he, 27-2 that year, most passing yards in the game. It was once Chip Kelly decided to become the executive, the decision maker, get rid of Shady, get rid of Djax. That's what ruined his reputation. If he would have just stayed on the sideline, people would have thought differently. So that brings your list down a little bit. But it's a strong B+ right there. And it stayed B+ because of Billy King turning down my fist bump, you know?
Yeah. Listen, I get the hate for Chip Kelly, and I had him on my list here, but you know, I always used to say if it wasn't for Chip Kelly and his awful moves, we wouldn't have that first Super Bowl, in my opinion. So you know, that kind of drops them down on the list of awfulness, in my opinion. So
Devil's advocate, he did pick Lane Johnson, correct? Pretty sure.
But here's another devil's advocate on Chip Kelly. If Chip Kelly doesn't take over, does Howie Roseman ever get put to the closet and learn how to become a great GM? Builds a 2 Super Bowl. You know, I mean, his arrogance, Chip Kelly, created the monster of Howie Roseman today.
Yeah. So you gotta give him credit for that.
Jesus. No one's
Marshawn just is a hater, man.
Yeah, he is.
I
think he meant that in a good way, though. Honestly,
Ryan, what do you like about your squad?
Yeah, listen, I went all over. I went a little old school, so that certainly, you know, as we know in the rankings, in the polls, may not bode well, since people only you know, realize that there's been sports further than 5 years ago. Norman Brama was again one of the worst GMs. The start of free agency, and just could not care less about putting money into the Eagles, and that was part of the reason why Harry Gamble, you know, is on this list as well, probably. Ruben Amaro is one of the most hated GMs, just for his suckiness. Chuck Fletcher, same thing, a very hated GM. Burt Bell, one of the worst coaches in Eagles history, and then one of the more recent worst coaches in Eagles history, in Rich Kotite.
Phil, how would you grade Ryan's squad? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's a portion of Eagles fans that won't know who Burt Bell is. They're gonna have to Google that. And again, just like Chip Kelly, the coach wasn't as bad. I don't think Ruben Amaro Jr. I mean, he was in a tough spot. You know, Brayman, yeah, awful. Chuck Fletcher, awful. Rich Kotite, awful. Burt Bell, awful. Ruben Amaro was in a tough spot trying to maintain a very popular core. The first time the Phillies organization was turning a profit ever. And, you know, he was trying to keep the core together to keep the fans happy. You know, he didn't do a good job. But on the flip side, he didn't make that many bad decisions. It just didn't work out again for him. So I think Ruben Amaro kind of, in my opinion, holds you down. I think Burt Bell, the casuals, won't know who he is.
I'll just speaking for myself. Yeah, I agree. Ryan nailed it. Like, I don't know how many people are going to vote for this squad. But Ruben Amaro Jr., like, he killed my fandom for the Philadelphia Phillies. That, you know, the contract to Howard, like, those were some dark days. Some dark days where I just didn't give a shit.
Howard's contract, and see, this is something I'm very passionate about. Ryan Howard's contract was actually not that bad. It was the fact that he tore his Achilles after making that or signing that contract. If he never tears his Achilles, we don't know. I mean, he was paid less than Albert Pujols, Andres Galarraga, whichever fielder got kid. The fielder, was it Prince Fielder? No, Prince Fielder was the kid. Cecil was the dad. They all got paid more money than Ryan Howard did per year. It was the Achilles tear. So Ruben can't predict an Achilles tear on a player.
You're right, but sometimes that doesn't really matter. It matters the results.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm just trying to defend the guy. I don't like the guy. I also just understand the situation he was in.
Yeah. Well, just watching Rhino live long enough to become the villain during his last days in Philly was just hard. That was just rough.
Yeah.
It's just rough. Phil, what do you think about your squad?
Oh, I love my squad because I'm the greatest of all time, just like my squad's the greatest of all time. Now, look, Marshawn thinks this is personal attacks. Yes, I do not like Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey. No, I do not at all. They have wasted so much talent. This is supposed to be an era of Sixers basketball that won us titles. It's been 1983, the last time we won a championship, and we've got Joel Embiid. We had so much talent, so many assets, and they wasted it. They ruined it more than Brian Colangelo did. They disappoint me. Harry Gamble, ran the organization of the Eagles during the most disappointing era of their history, and Klentak was part of the biggest McPhail in Philly's history, and Lee Thomas. Yeah, he was just here too long.
Yeah, I think the Morey stuff is a little exaggerated. I think Morey deserves all the flag, all of it, because his plan did not work. And to build a plan around two guys that cannot stay healthy is ridiculous. But I think he's been drafted pretty well overall. McCain, Edwards. I know I'm missing one.
Maxey.
Maxey.
McCain and Maxey. That's it. I mean, Edwards,
who else is there? Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, Edwards was Edwards drafted, or was Edwards a free agent?
He was a free agent. He was an undrafted free agent. Yeah. But I love your.
He kind of got lucky into Maxey, in my opinion.
Doc Rivers, yeah, he did fall. Doc Rivers' selection is just to hate the face. I never understood the love the media has for this guy. One of the most insufferable dudes there is. Just arrogant, refuses accountability. It's laughable how he always has to be the center of the universe, and he thinks he doesn't get the credit he deserves. It's unbelievable. And then I think you're going to get votes with Matt Klentak. I think he's another dude that a lot of people hated. Ryan, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think personally, I think you have way too many Sixers, just like Dives. I think what will hurt you is Lee Thomas and Harry Gamble. I don't think, again, as you said against mine, I don't think casuals will remember those guys. In fact, I didn't even remember Harry Gamble until you said the name. I was like, oh, wow.
I basically went and I Googled who was the GM of the Kelly Bean era.
But yeah, listen, I think, I think it's recency with the Doc Rivers thing. Was he the worst coach in Sixers history? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, he was literally brought in to bridge Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid together. And
you could say Doug Moe or John Lucas were worse, but who did they have? Perennial Hall of Fame players? No.
I don't know.
No, they did not.
Anyway, still.
I had so much fun for the last 30 minutes.
Yeah, you did.
I'll give you more names. I mean, I got more names on this.
All right. I got it. Klentak will certainly resonate. And so will Daryl Morey. I think people just generally hate him. I don't know if I don't know, maybe people do generally hate Doc Rivers too. So again, I'm very removed from the Sixers. I kind of keep them at arm's length because I know how terrible they are. I mean,
he's bad, man. He's really bad.
Well, it's a good thing.
I still firmly believe Doc Rivers did not coach well with the Philadelphia 76ers. Like, I firmly believe all he did was just sit on the bench and do this, about once or twice a game, and then Lou just rolled the basketball and yell. And just
I was going to say walk with the hunch, like he's leaning over up and down the sideline. But the roll of the basketball is a good one.
At least with Brett Brown, you had JJ and some off-ball movement and some defense and length and things like that going for you. But when it came to Doc Rivers, the heavy ISO, the slow-paced basketball, half-court offense, like, it was unwatchable. And then just watch over and over and over again, the Sixers just fail. He's definitely really high. I had him. I was hoping he would fall to me, but that was a great pick. I'll throw it to you, Phil. Just pick three guys you want to give a shout out to. Then I'll throw it to Ryan and then myself.
3 other coaches?
Guys you want to give a shout out to.
Nick Leyva, Pete McCann, and Ryan Sandberg. 3 awful Phillies coaches right there. Most people won't remember Nick Leyva, but he was the coach before Jim Fregosi. He was atrocious. He was really bad. Ryan Sandberg, Rhino, man, took over for Charlie Manuel, bombed big time, and Pete McCann after that was atrocious as well. They were all really, really. The Phillies are the losingest franchise in the history of sports. So plain and simple.
All right, Phillies for Phil. That makes sense. What about you, Ryan?
I would just like to say, for the record, Doug Moe did take over the season after Barkley was traded, and had the legs of Manute Bol, Armin Gillum, Johnny Dawkins, and of course Hershey Hawkins.
Yeah. So again, he didn't have the talent that Doc Rivers had.
You're right. Well, I don't know. Come on, Manute Bol.
I know Manute Bol was pretty amazing.
He was pretty amazing. I would like to give a shout out to Juan Castillo, even though it was more of kind of him being put in a ridiculous situation, but he did accept the job. So there's that. I'd like to give a shout out to Josh Harris. Please sell the team.
God, that's a good one.
And I would also
my God.
I would also, I didn't put him on my list because I didn't want any Sixers.
Wow, I cannot believe that escaped me.
I would also like to say Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
Never liked you. Glad you're not here.
I like Marshawn's comment down there, the last one he put up there. Yeah. Just like Chip Kelly.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Elton Brand. Elton Brand was a big piece of, Tobias Harris and Al Horford, the Jimmy Butler situation, just absolute garbage. I just cannot wait for him to get off this organization. Not Doug Peterson. Holy cow. Doug Collins. You guys remember Doug Collins?
Of course.
That guy was beloved as a head coach with the Sixers, and then became a villain seamlessly overnight. Was literally gone within a second.
Yeah.
He went with Evan Turner, who was basically a role player over Paul George and DeMarcus Cousins. And man, his fall from where he was quick and startling. Anybody else have any others they want to shout out?
Bobby Clark.
Okay.
He was such an a-hole and so stubborn as a GM. The whole Lindros fiasco. I mean, but I will say it made for some we're so glad we didn't really have the internet back then like we do now, because man, he had some one-liners about Lindros's mom. So I don't know, that was always fun. But yeah, he was just so stubborn, and again, just constantly hey, what old 38-year-old hockey player can we add to this team to really get us over the top? That always seemed to never work. Let's see. Trying to think of somebody else now.
I've got a lot of Sixers on my list. Give me
no shit.
John Nash traded Charles Barkley for Jeff Hornacek, Tim Perry, and Andrew Lang. None of them did anything. Jack Ramsey, the dude traded Will Chamberlain. I mean, that alone puts him.
Is that Dr. Jack Ramsey?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, wait, isn't he like a Hall of Fame?
I will say I love the Josh Harris. I wasn't prepared for owners to be on the list, or Josh Harris would have been number one on my list. Can I ask, and I wrote this name down with a question mark, okay? Can Joe Banner be on this list? Not 1, 2, 3, 4. I know he helped resurrect under Andy Reid and Don McNabb this era, but as much as Howie Roseman has evolved and pivoted and changed, Joe Banner stayed the same. Eventually got fired, went to, was it Cleveland?
Cleveland, yeah.
there,
and now he's just a grumpy old man on Twitter, trash talking other organizations because no one will give him a job because he won't change. You know, I know he wasn't the worst, but he was so damn stubborn that I almost feel like he is in that argument as well.
I like it. All right, there it is. That wraps it up, guys. We'll be throwing these on the polls for voting. Quick shout out, by the way. I am leading the Mount Rushmore voting by 69%.
I'm gonna have to go spam the hell out of that. I missed that one.
Wow.
I don't remember who
when the hell did that happen?
I threw it on this morning.
When did we do that? That feels like
a few weeks ago. Yeah,
we did that in 1997. That poll. that
right?
Showing up.
At least I'm beating Phil. That's all I care about.
We have Pump Man saying we need to do this with the worst players in Philly.
Oh, we could do that for sure.
We could maybe do like a villain show, like Philly sports villains, or like.
I've already thought of instantly villains. You say villains, I got 4 of them in my mind already.
That'd be really fun. That'd be really fun. Maybe like just most hated villain, like kind of. That'd be fun.
Yeah, most hated in Philly sports.
Yeah.
Most hated Philly sports podcaster. I
Yeah,
guarantee I'll be the first overall pick right there.
Maybe not. Maybe not just do it like Philly sports, but like guys we hated from other teams as well. That could be fun.
Yeah, we could do all of it. Let's
mean,
spread the hate. Let's spread the hate.
Amir Johnson, Maurice Spates. Oh man, I was high on Maurice Spates.
I was too high on him. I was upset when we got rid of him.
Yeah, we were high when we picked him up.
There's a lot of like Maurice Spates kind of guys that like Jonah Bolden.
I was high on him too.
Everybody loved him, Jonah Bolden. And then what did he do?
Was he Australian or something like that?
Yeah, right. Who? Oh man, who's the French guy? Timotei
Cabaret.
There's so many. There's so many.
Dario for crying out loud. Everybody.
Don't ever talk bad about the homie, okay?
Everybody
the homie was the man.
Let's bring him back.
Orlando Scandrick would absolutely count.
There was an Eagles player every single training camp that did like the one minute little thing that was like, whoa, who would never heard of that guy? And then the Eagles fans just attached themselves to him every year, and then they would never make the team, and they'd cry for this.
It's called the Paul Turner syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. That's not wrong.
I was a big Dario guy.
Leotis McKelvin. I was hyped to get that dude. Hell, I was hyped to get freaking Kiko Alonso.
I don't even know who that is.
I don't remember.
Corner from Buffalo.
I don't even remember this name here. So.
Yeah, it was a corner from Buffalo.
Gotcha.
But yeah, speaking of Buffalo, when we got Kiko Alonso, I was so hyped. I was a big fan of him. And then after that interception, I was like, told you, I was right.
This is a long time ago. Like, but do you remember when they drafted like Broderick Bunkley and they drafted him? And
I have
like,
a Broderick Bunkley jersey.
There was a picture that came out with his shirt off, and he's just jacked. He's so big. And then like when they made a move for Kiko Alonso, the same thing. Like looked like sunshine, like in a waterfall, just jacked.
Dude, I met him soon after he got traded, and he was jacked. Kiko Alonso just looked like a specimen, and you were just like, we're gonna have the greatest goddamn linebacker, because he had an amazing rookie season. He came out of absolute nowhere, balled out. And I thought, wow, Chip just made the freaking trade of the century.
Didn't he have an interception like on the first game?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He made a diving backwards interception in the end zone in like the first or second game. And I was on cloud nine. I was so ready for it.
Pretty sure Patrick Chung had some good years, right?
Yeah, he
not in Philadelphia, but
not in Philadelphia. Yeah, absolutely.
It wasn't like Macho Harris or something.
Yeah. All right, guys. Gerald Anderson. Oh, you can go on and on. Phil, talk to us about trending in the AM. Final thoughts, plugs.
Yeah, absolutely. Trending in the AM. Tomorrow, we're talking culture that breeds excellence and comparing the cultures of the Eagles, the Sixers, and the Phillies. And maybe for Ryan, since he brought up Flyers and Chuck Fletcher, maybe we'll tap the Flyers into that as well. We got a lot. I'm working on some guests. I can't name anybody right now outside of Sean Bernard for the draft next week. I don't know about you guys, but I can't believe the NBA draft is here in like 9 days, 8 days. Like it's jumping up like that right now. So we got Sean Bernard doing the draft next week on the show. But and then tune into Fairway to Heaven tomorrow night. We got if you're a wrestling fan, John Morrison's twin brother. Not really, it's just a joke, but he looks exactly like John Morrison. Scotty, we'll be recapping the most amazing U.S. Open finish, and then talking this week's Travelers Championship. That's tomorrow night at 6 p.m. If you didn't watch the U.S. Open, man, that was just complete carnage, and it was just a blast and stuff like that.
It was hilarious watching everyone fall apart with the weather.
You know how much money all that falling apart because of the weather cost me? A lot of money.
I'm sorry, man.
But I was all for it because I love the U.S. Open because the U.S. Open is the only it might be the only tournament of the major first 6, 7 sports in the country that you and I could go qualify for. If you want to go qualify, you can. I mean, you could try to go through it, but whatever. It's the most American sport there is. Everybody is eligible. There was over 10,200 entries tried to qualify for the U.S. Open. It was the most ever this year.
10,000?
10,202 entries of people, just not counting the pros, just the guys that had to enter qualifiers at their local golf course to try to get in.
Wow.
Isn't that also considered like one of the more difficult courses?
Oh, Oakmont, Oakmont's one of the most, if not most difficult courses in PGA history. So so you gotta love the U.S. Open. So I can't wait to talk about that tomorrow night.
Yeah. All right. And then for it to end,
Yeah.
Trending in the AM, also best morning show there is every day. I'm listening in the car, in my office, at home right now, with Summer. Ryan, final thoughts, plugs, time's yours.
Yeah, this was great to get all of our shows done on a Monday. Love that. Now I get a night back for free.
Yeah,
this is great. Wednesday, Football Smack Talk show on the Eagles Pin Pull Network. Eric and I are having a draft where we are taking a player, an Eagles draft from the year 2000 and on. You're allowed to select one player from each team, but you can't repeat players and you can't repeat. So if I draft somebody from the 2000 team, you can't pick anybody from that team.
okay.
And you can't say, oh, well, you picked Brian Dawkins from this year, I'll take him from this year. You can't do that either. So we're going to try to make the best teams out of that. That should be a fun little exercise. So that's Wednesday. Sorry, forget my days now. Wednesday at 5:30 on the Eagles Pinball Network.
All right, be sure to check that out. Last but not least, back into the shorts market. I've been putting out around 3 shorts a day. One is most underrated plays from last season. I'm going week to week of my favorite most underrated plays from each game. So go check that out. And then also doing my top 20 most important Eagles to the 2025 season. Just 1 or 2 minutes of my thoughts. And then also the top 25 under 25 prospects in Philly sports countdown as well. Those are coming out, have been coming out 7, 12, and 5 every day. So be sure to check that out. We've had a lot of random Sixers names in the chat. I've been loving it. Lavoy Allen. What's up, Temple? It's terrific. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching.
Okay, real quick, plug something real quick. Totally forgot about. So I was given this, I don't collect things. I was given this Eagles football signed by Cooper DeJean and Darius Slay. It's authenticated and everything. So check out my YouTube page, everybody, because I'm working on the details on how we're going to sell raffle tickets, raise money for Eagles autism, and then I'm going to raffle off this autographed football sometime the week of opening night. So I really, I'm going to give out all the instructions on my YouTube channel, the STT Sports Network, in the coming days on when this starts, how you buy the raffle tickets and stuff like that. So check out my YouTube page because I'm trying to raise some good money because I don't collect things. So this is a great way to raise some money and help out Eagles Autism, which is an amazing charity.
Yeah, go check out Phil's channel. It does amazing content.
$10 right now.
What's that?
$10 right now.
Ow. No. I mean, at least you offered me $10. Most people are saying just give it to me when I mention it.
I have $22 right here. I'm upping it.
All right, let's wrap it up. STT Sports Network, go subscribe, please. If you're watching, we have Pumpman saying Ace Bailey no matter what. I'm not there quite.
Gross. Gross.
That's a take. But anyway, he is Phil at Bearded Knowledge. I'm trending in the AM, best of the best. Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA, the exact opposite. I am Dives, Mr. Crockpot. Thank you everyone for watching. Stay